Hi everyone. I'm making this video to explain the whole situation about Strymes49 and My Singing Monsters Recomposed and my reasoning for why I acted that way. And I'm not great with words, so a lot of this information is going to be all over the place and it won't make sense, but I'll do my best to explain the whole story. So first, we'll need a bit of background. Strymes49 was an MSM tuber who joined us in 2016 and was basically responsible for creating the My Singing Monsters fan-made content community as a whole. Strymes was really popular back in the day. I even remember falling deeply in love with his content. He left us in, I forget when, it was the 2020s. He went out strong. And we all wished him luck on his future endeavors. Of course, he would still come back to do minor things in this community, like provide his voice for My Singing Monsters Recomposed. In 2023, one of his monsters, Tripipa, was even featured in Sector 2-5. But then, when the full song came out, Tripipa was removed from the sector. At first, I thought it was just because Strymes personally asked for Tripipa to be removed, but I found out that it was something much worse. Strymes had done something awful. And I decided I wanted to stay curious about this issue, so I decided not to look into it any further. And it worked. I just kind of forgot about what Strymes did. And to be fair, I never even knew about it anyway. But then in 2025, the blacklist was created on the My Singing Monsters Ideas Wiki. And it's a list of people whose content isn't allowed on the wiki under the discretion of the admins. And it's all people who have done bad things. Like Mantis Girl, Sabacity7, Ragapak, etc. But Strymes was on there too. That scared me. I thought maybe he didn't get better after all. The whole situation made me feel uneasy. And then in February of 2026, my worst fears were realized. The blacklist was updated with descriptions of everyone's crimes. And what was written for Strymes was, he has allegedly groomed minors on Google Hangouts, among other things of a similar nature. I couldn't believe it. One of the most influential MSM tubers had turned on us. I felt betrayed. Now you know why I don't trust Strymes, or didn't trust him. But I then questioned why he was still on the My Singing Monsters Recomposed team. Like, even after the news came out about him, he was featured in Fairy Island Recomposed, The Colosseum Recomposed, and even the entirety of Mirror Air Island Recomposed. I knew Fairy Island Recomposed and Mirror Air Island Recomposed were finished, so they weren't going to be recomposed. In fact, the Recomposed team has personally said this. That was until Alcordion was added to the game. That meant a new update for Air Island Recomposed and its mirror counterpart. I was really hoping that Mirror Air Island would be recomposed in light of what Strymes had done. But it wasn't recomposed. In fact, Alcordion's sound on Mirror Air Island was done by Strymes. I couldn't believe my eyes. I felt betrayed. I just about crashed out. I left a handful of negative comments explaining what Strymes had done. And I even unsubscribed from the Recompose team. There was a lot of turmoil that day. So much so that Strymes himself had to come out and debunk the allegations about him grooming minors. Yep. He had personally debunked the allegations against him. And at that point, I felt like a huge jerk. I had harassed this man for nothing. And now, all of a sudden, everyone was harassing me for harassing Strymes. See, that's the problem with me. I take everything at face value. When I found out what Strymes did, I immediately assumed he was still like that, without even considering the possibility of him changing. It's also like that for people in this community like Mantis Girl and Slender Slime. But considering what both of them have done, I'm not ready to forgive them just yet. Yeah, the issue with me is I take everything at face value, and I don't consider the possibility of people changing for the better. Which is exactly what Strymes did. I could have found out a lot more about this situation if I had Discord, so I could personally contact the people who first found it out. But I don't have Discord. So I can't find out extra information about controversies in this community. I'm hoping to get Discord soon, but don't count on it. Or maybe do. I don't even know anymore. So TLDW, there were allegations about Strymes grooming minors, but Strymes himself said they weren't true. But I thought they were true, so I harassed him for nothing. And I even harassed the My Singing Monsters Recompose team for including him in their projects. I harassed Strymes and the Recompose team for nothing. And I feel like a huge jerk. I'm really sorry for what I've done. And I hope y'all can find it in your heart to forgive me.